What makes Dark Souls Dark Souls? Is it the atmosphere? The combat? The other mechanics like the bonfires and the Estus flask? Answering this was the first step to creating my first-person shooter, Souls-like. I needed to work out what I wanted to take from the Souls-like genre, and from first-person shooters to build a compelling and cohesive experience. Therefore, before I started building my game, I decided to play a bit of Dark Souls and some other Souls-likes to see what was important to the genre and where some of the games had failed to capture the magic of the Souls-like series. After playing some of Immortal Unchained, a third-person shooter cross Souls-like, I can see the main pitfall in that game is boring combat. The game takes the slow, methodical play of Dark Souls and turns it into standing back away from the enemies and pressing left mouse button until your BB gun finally kills them. The combat has almost no back and forth. You occasionally need to step to the left or to the right to dodge an attack, but you don't need to be making all those quick fire decisions that could mean life or death like in Dark Souls. The first thing I want to get set up in my game is the player controller. I downloaded this shotgun asset as a starting point because it has some animations and a model that I can use to get the project up and running quickly. Once I got the basic movement and the shooting in, I wanted to build the rest of the mechanics that would turn this into more of a Souls-like experience. One thing I noted from Immortal Unchained is that it isn't ever an interesting decision whether you attack or not, like in Dark Souls. There is, however, a game that does make it an interesting decision to decide if you should shoot or not, and that game is Resident Evil 4. In Resi 4, you need to stop your movement entirely and aim in before you can fire. So I stole that idea and plonked it into my game. With a slight adjustment. You can move a little, but you're super slow. I think this makes it feel much better in an FPS because it's a bit jarring when you get halted and stuck to a spot. One thing I just fully lifted from Dark Souls was their sprint and jump and dodging mechanics. They just do it perfectly. I don't see why I'd want to reinvent it. All I did on this was just change a roll to a dash, and then I have that same kind of, you're locked into kind of a hard forwards run when you sprint, so it's not like a good dodging mechanic. You have to use the dash to escape, and then the jump's just there for some hidden secrets, so it's just you press the dash button when you're running. I also wanted to build a block into the game. It's kind of important, I think, to the Dark Souls experience, making that decision when to block and when to dodge. It kind of plays into the builds in the game as well, like you can build like a heavy strength build with a shield, or you can be a lightweight guy who rolls around. I think it makes loads of interesting decisions for the player as they're going through the game. For my block, it's pretty straightforward. You can't do anything else on your block. You just lift up your gun, and then you have a lower stamina recharge as you're blocking, so there's like a downside to just dodging, for example, but it's much easier to use. Like, the timing's obviously not hard because you can just lift it up and hold it there while you wait. Whereas a dodge, you obviously have to do it like just when the attack's going, otherwise you're going to get hit. Now that the player controller is set up, I wanted to get an enemy in to the game that you can fight and have a good time with, you know? I decided I'd go with the most straightforward enemy. A zombie, he does your basic attacks, but he dies really easily, so he's very much the first enemy of the game, not anything complicated. The way I decided to do it was, first of all, he can just patrol around or kind of hang around until you turn up. Then when he spots you, he has two different attack modes. One is like a closing the distance thing, so he'll run quite fast at you and then do a big attack. But when you're in like a shorter range with him, he'll do a like multiple stage like punch attack. 1, 2, 3, So it does a bit more damage, but it's a bit easier to avoid. You can block and play around them. When there's a lot of them, maybe it'll get a bit dangerous, a bit dicey. So you might want to try and back out a bit and take some shots. With this enemy, at the moment, I've just kind of implemented the basics, like I said. There's a lot more I want to do, like alerting each other and just kind of like fixing them up a bit and giving them more detail. But for now, I'm gonna leave it while we work on some other stuff. Jamie's been putting together this big boss enemy for the end of the tutorial. He's just gonna be a humanoid, but he's gonna try to get it to have some pretty cool behaviors. The boss will like circle around you and he'll be able to like block fire. So you can't just shoot him whenever, you have to shoot him in certain windows. I think enemies being able to block damage will be an important part of this game. I don't think every enemy will be able to block, but I think it means that you will have to play around attack windows and stuff rather than just having like really weak guns. We can give you more powerful guns. That will mean that there'll be this counterplay between you and the enemy as the game goes, and you'll have to be kind of avoiding their attacks and trying to look for these windows, read their animations. I think that make the game way more interesting and maybe a bit more soulsy. The final thing that we've done so far is we've done a level. We threw together a few test scenarios before we went ahead and built the main level because we wanted to see what kind of like designs, like would thin corridors work for the game, or would big areas work, or would everything kind of work? We didn't really know until we tried it. We found that actually the game's pretty good for any type of environment we like. So when I went to go put together the main level, I was able to take everything I'd found there and start mashing together the prototype level. This is just the start of getting the game to the prototype stage. So we're going to be putting out a few more devlogs on this for sure. Please subscribe to see those, and obviously if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and if you didn't enjoy it, a dislike. I don't care if you dislike, I just want to know, you know? So give me a like or that dislike, and drop a comment below with things you think we should add to the game. Obviously there are some stuff like the Estus flask that we're definitely going to be adding, but other stuff I might not have thought of, so please do let me know. Goodbye!